JB here, JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Friday, March 21st, 3:20 on this Friday afternoon. Talk quick about the market, some names I'm looking at, go from there. S&P trying to claw its way to green here after a rough open, and it's been chopping around. Got the green at about the 2 o'clock hour, came back down to 562, and we'll see how we close. I would love to see a 563, at least a 563 handle. I mean, you look at a SPY, and I just posted a chart in the chat room. It's been chopping around that handle, and I was hoping for a stair-step action into the end of the week. Maybe have to wait till next week. But all things considered, similar to yesterday at the open could have been a great opportunity for the bears to really take control, sell it off. Instead, buyers came in and spiked it to 11 o'clock, and then we had that reversal. And then same thing here this morning. This was looked like a chance. The bears were fighting and clawing. It was 10 o'clock, and then boom, we got a reversal. 558 on the SPY, all the way up to 561 and change. Back down to 559 at noon, and then just spiked all the way up to 564. So buyers are there. It just, is there another leg to the downside? It seems like I won't call it peak fear, but all the headlines coming out. I mean, everything that is going to happen with the tariff situation, it's kind of on the table, right? So all the surprise element is out. It's just the uncertainty of the impacts. And uh, however, someone wants to say 100% without a guarantee. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Is it going to cause inflation? Is it cause stagflation? They've been popping that word's been coming out of a lot of people's mouths over the last month or two. I mean, who knows? But to me, the market's a great forward-looking mechanism, and it always has been. I remember back in the COVID days, the market's selling off. We have, there'll be limit downs during that market hours in the pre-market. I think one day we had like five halts during the market sessions, and in the midst of that, you think, how can everybody get back to normal? They're closing businesses. They're doing all these things that you're like, there's no way all these people are going out of business. You thought there was all these different rules of contact, and there was just all this crazy stuff going on that you're like, how is the market ever going to get to normal? How's the economy going to get back to normal? How are we not going to be in a long-term recession? And then all of a sudden, boom, March, we just start rallying, and we had those big bounces, and that was it. And then things went bonkers, right? Uh, so I don't know if we'll get that kind of scenario, but it's like I think if the market, if things were going to be really that bad, I think the market probably would have had some follow throughs. But we'll find out next week. Was it what are they calling number April 2nd? That's when the tariffs kick in. I forget the name of the day he's calling it. And we'll see how this all plays out. You have to think there's going to be some tit for tat things on the way, but this thing is going to get worked out, compromised a little bit, and when those headlines come out, maybe we'll get some bounces. I don't know, but anyway, I am still don't have a bear suit on, don't have bull horns on. I'm open to both sides of the trade, trying to keep things a little more short term than normal. And then when I feel there's conviction, some names I might look to add some later dated strikes. Also, I posted this chart in the chat room too, the comparison between the VIX and the S&P, and this is a percentage base. So if you look, the VIX, I mean, it spiked 60% year to date back in the middle of March, and now it's only up 12% year to date in regards to its level it started the year. So, and then you look at the S&P. I mean, you would think that we're down 20%, but the market's down. I mean, take it with a grain of salt, we're down 4%. I mean, everybody's used to 20% plus year-over-year gains for the past 2 years, right? So I guess that's some of it, but always try and keep things in context, because it's so easy for people to get the jump out of the building kind of mentality. All right, so that's the overall market. That's the VIX. Amount of stock trading over the 200-day moving average on the 200-day moving average on the S&P. That down ticked just a little bit, so I guess it's 5 more stocks under that level. Definitely something I'll be watching. I don't know if if it starts getting to the lows 36% back, I think it was March 14th, 15th, then maybe a little concern there. All right, so now just individual names, and I probably shouldn't even talk about Roku, because every time I do, it tends to, outside of its earnings move, over the last couple of months, it hasn't really panned out too. I mean, there's been good trades too. I got lucky with some upgrades one week, and luck is when luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? So you take a look today, and it was just resuming its move off the lows, and some of that you had news, I guess. DJT stock, or the company had a release that they have a Roku app, or being put on the Roku platform. I don't know if that's some of it. Also, I mean, you take a look back at the end of last year, there was rumors back in December. It had a huge move of M&A, right? And I think there were at least 2 analysts that came out saying that they think Roku is going to be acquired in 2025. That was with the stock trading pretty much right where we are right now. So who's to say? Maybe some more rumors over the weekend. I don't know, but couple that with just the oversold conditions. You look at the chart; it has, like I was talking about this morning. You have the momentum, the momentum indicators. You have a bullish crossover. Typically, that sets things up pretty well. So I don't know if there'll be more upside next week. Roku tends to break hearts. So I did get some spec calls into next week. I was looking for later strikes, but similar to what happened when I got the calls back in the fall on the M&A before the M&A rumors, they were inexpensive on a risk reward basis. So I can't remember the last time. I mean, it was when I got the strikes, the stock was like $76, and I'm looking at 85 calls for next week that are seriously out of money and need a large move, but they look inexpensive on a risk reward basis. So I got those later in the day when the stock broke over 78. I locked some in for over 100%. I'll just hold the rest into next week. Um, I don't think it needs a catalyst to have continuation. The only issue would be if the market has some serious weakness. But you have the bullish crossover. You also have the 50-day moving average is right there at 80.63. So if it gets some gas Monday and Tuesday and gets over that 50-day moving average, all bets are off. So real like Roku there. So I got those strikes. And then GME, and I would say it came out of nowhere. It wasn't on the watch list, but it's a kind of a name I've been looking at over the last couple of weeks. Especially you have Ryan Cohen, so I love Chewy, right? And I've traded Chewy a lot, especially last year. I was in before the Roaring Kitty tweet on Chewy, and that was a monster. But I like Ryan Cohen, and if you followed the blog and the site and stuff, and I can go back and find him, but I'm not gonna. But either way, we were, UPB too was in GameStop way before Roaring Kitty was back in the summer of before it squeezed. I think I was in like November. No, maybe I was in December. GameStop like $13 calls, and January is when it ran, and 300 whatever it went to. So, not saying I know better than they do or what have you, but it's a name that I've traded in the past, and similar. It's always had that similar profile. And back in the day, of course, was declining business. No one trades in games or really. There was a whole. You make the big bear case, but their fundamentals weren't too bad. It's just a declining store, huge scale. Now you look and they still have declining revenues at 10-12% or whatever, but they have the cash hoard. It's like 4.8 billion in cash. I don't know, 400 million maybe in debt somewhere in there. And they've been doing offerings, and they've been doing the offerings. It's not like they're doing it to pay off a substantial amount of debt, right? So what are they doing with that cash? What's going to happen with the cash? Are they going, are they going to buy back stock? I don't know if they would do that. Maybe they would. Are they doing buybacks? I have to go and do like a more deeper dive into the name. But to me, they report earnings Tuesday after the close. Ryan Cohen's been posting like uh, job description openings for things outside kind of like the core business, right? He already talked about crypto. So I don't know. Maybe they'll announce something on earnings in regards to using some of that money to do something, right? That would be good for shareholders, not just spending money to do so. Who knows? I was hoping to get calls and play for premium build. When I got the calls, the stock was barely over 24. It's up 4.5% here, and my calls are actually in the red. So it's like premiums came out of the calls. So kind of disappointing there. I was hoping premium build into earnings next week. I'll hold them over the weekend. But that's kind of the thought process there. And you take a look, 200-day moving average 25.12. If there's any kind of like positive announcement, you have to. I mean, I don't like to be one of those who just buys the squeeze theory, right? Or the meme stocks. Just buy them because you hope someone else buys it after you, right? I mean, that's to me, I don't think that's the best investment case. But I mean, it's worked out in the past on some of these names. But so anyway, that's why I got those strikes. I'll hold them into the weekend, and I'll try and do a deeper dive over the weekend and have an update next week. So that's GameStop, and then RH and I call it Restoration Hardware. I guess they still are called it, but I think when they might have changed tickers. Um, I was watching all morning. It's a name I watched all week for a bounce. It was down under 220 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it started to bounce. And then today was bouncing. I was looking at strikes at 240s, then the 245s, and then I missed. So then I went and got those 250 spec calls. Ironically enough, I could have sold them for 100% if I just left the limit offer on. But definitely a name, sitting here at 243. We got 30 minutes left to the close. I've seen crazier things. So if you did follow me, make sure you have either a market order or whatever, just in case it does go into money. But this is a great story. If you ever followed RH in the past, it's one of those CEOs that's kind of stuck into the shorts. RH used to be like a $30 stock. I don't know if it's done splits too, but it used to have a tremendous short interest. It used to be like 50% or 60%. And the CEO knew he's kind of like one of those, I hate to use the word oddball, but he's had some unorthodox things, I guess, that he's done. But one of the things he did is they raised like an insane amount of debt, and then they used that, even though it was a high rate that they raised it at, to buy back like a huge amount of stock, and it causes, and it, I guess, it kind of caused a short squeeze, and then eventually people stopped shorting the stock, and then their fundamentals did well, and the rest is history. Then it struggled. So back when COVID happened, it was great, and then COVID went away, it tumbled, and now it's kind of like, I think some of it's the tariff issues. But anyway, to me, similar story with GameStop. They have a huge cash hoard. They can do something to to reward shareholders and create value. So that's kind of the the rationale behind that rant right there. But that's it, folks. SPY's here at 562. We're down about a third of a percent. Hopefully, we get a rally over that 563 in the next 30 minutes. Have a great weekend. Rock and roll.